But you know, it's more of a imperial blob. Like, the Empire is a force for good.
This map was actually circulated before the game.
And I do expect these guys to pop on the couch at some point and pretty much bring their trophies in to gloat. Oh, Karsten. Oh, Karsten. Oh, Karsten. Yeah, he's in a bit of a pickle. See all these rep bits? Yeah, those people don't like them very much. Not at all. So half of Europe, including France and Castile, are at war with Burgundy. France I can understand because, you know, Burgundy's got a lot of French cores in it. But this is kind of taking the cake, guys. Guys, seriously. Guys. Guys? But yeah. Bohemia asks for peace. So Bohemia bows out. Bohemia can afford that. He's got the allies of Brandenburg and Austria, as well as France. So he can just sit back. He doesn't really need to do anything. No, doesn't need to let his war exhaustion go too completely insane. Because, yeah, it looks like the sack of Burgundy of 1454 is now a thing. Be sure to add that to Wikipedia, guys, because we're rewriting history as we go along. Well, it's kind of the point of the game, really. We take a standard point in history somewhere in time, and as soon as we hit that unpause button, everything's different. Nothing is historically correct anymore, which is accurate anymore. Which is something I always find interesting with people. People like to roleplay, but there is really no way you can accurately roleplay these games because there's just so many modifiers that come into place for you to deal with. You can play as Germany and play as Brandenburg and say, well, I'm going to go and integrate two tots, and then yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then I'm going to form Germany and the Reich and all that. But you know, that is a bit more difficult. Of course, we got historical nations in the game which you can form. That's kind of the point of the whole thing. But like Great Britain, for instance, which I really doubt that we're going to be seeing this session. We got Spain, obviously, France, who needs to be reformed, Russia. It's Muscovy now. And obviously there's the modifiers in place where you can that you need to actually reach in order to form these actual nations. So, the war is at an end. The siege, oh my god, is that a 2-star? Hold on, let me check. He's got does he have a really good general already? Oh, wow, yes. He's got several really good, very good generals already at France. I rarely actually play France at the start. I'm not a big fan of playing as a big blue blob. I like more challenging nations like, you know, Algiers or Hansa or those sort of nations. I find that a little more challenging. I literally have never played as France, which is kind of, you know, the de facto nation to play at the start of the game. It's difficult with the 100-year war and all that, but I am not a big fan. I'm personally not a big fan. Look at those generals standing there, being cool, full control. But thank you so much once again. All 500 of you have tuned in to this stream here live from the Stockholm office of Paradox Interactive. The tower itself is standing strong, going against the winds, the cold winds. It's actually not that cold out anymore. It's like -2 right now. Which king is in this war? Alexivan is, well, he's trying to conquer Mecklenburg as Hansa. Well, it's kind of standard stuff. And he's gone for his first idea. Trade ideas, very standard there. Very interesting, very, very good for Hansa, of course, considering his ideas are very trade-orientated to begin with, like the Victual brothers and all that. And he'll get the event of getting the Adler of Lübeck at some point as well, so we'll get a single Carrack. I always thought that was a little bit of an underappreciated event, but it's a little fluff like that I personally like. Bohemia is just chilling because they bowed out of that war. But yeah, right now on your plate for this course is the destruction of Burgundy. I was almost going to say decimation, but that would mean that they will only take a 10th. And they would have to beat them to death with their own fists. So let's go with annihilation instead. Because this seems to be a very, 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 very strong assault here. There's a couple of Flanders. Looks like Flanders is going to be released. What else is going to be released? Luxembourg, maybe. Holland's going to... Brabant, maybe? Is Holland going to be released? We're going to see a couple of nations being released out of this particular war. But like I said, the pawns are moving. The pawns are moving. But the main set pieces are still in place. The main movement is still out there. The desolation of Burgundy is what has already been called out there. Desolation of Burgundy. I like that. Not much going on the side. What's Burgundy up to? He's at war with Serbia. Well, that's nothing to write home about, really. Basically, all of the alliances right now are pretty much trying to get a decent position going, knowing where they're at, trying to solidify their stance, and trying to work as a group in order to create these alliances and factions that can go head-to-head later on in the game. We'll see our first colonies popping up soon as well. Let's take a look here, actually, speaking of which. We haven't seen any colonies just yet, probably because the colonial range is not enough just yet for... Yeah, I thought as much. Colonial range is not enough yet. So it's 2 sea zones till to the New World for Portugal. So they're gonna have a difficult time getting there. They're gonna need to get a little bit more technology. So let's see. They're going to need their second idea, Legacy of the Navigator, and they need their third overseas expansion, maybe even Tech 7, which allows for for an additional 115 colonial range, which is going to be really good. So, France, terms being asked. What do they want? What does France want out of this war? Well, Burgundy. What does France want out of any war with Burgundy? It is very simple. Any area of Burgundy that has French cores in it, which is kind of weird, considering Castile has taken all the territories that have any interest, really, of France. There's this over here, Cambrai. Yeah, that's all being controlled by Denmark. This is going to be a really, really weird Low Countries. I think we can all agree that the Low Countries have looked better. And instead of seeing the Spanish rage, we're seeing the... Yeah, whatever the hell this is. As, the wars are still... Ooh, we have Wiz is at war with Salzburg. Yeah, like I said, we were actually talking... It would appear that there is several... there is actually a chart. I'm not going to lie. What Wiz actually did was he went through all the provinces in the Holy Roman Empire and pretty much looked at all their base tax. So basically, he found out that he could carve up... I'm not even kidding, that he could carve up the Holy Roman Empire between 5 nations, and each nation would get 51 additional trade level, or at least tax level each. And that will be split up between Austria, Bavaria, between Bohemia and Brandenburg. So all this area right here, yeah, that's going to be those 4 nations. They're all going to be sitting right on top of that, and basically these player nations, Bavaria, Austria, Bohemia, and Brandenburg, are all going to control this. So basically, we're going to see several lines across the map in this general direction, because the meta game is pretty much already... There's so much meta going on here, because you've got all these players, and they're like, you know what? We're all starting really close together. We should like talk to each other and maybe like get alliances. And then you have other guys just like, that sounds like a really cool idea. In the meantime, they're talking to like other guys. So these guys are offering me alliances. We need to stab them in the back in like 100 years. So roll with me, and then we'll jump on them later on. So there's like a whole bunch of meta going on here. And pretty much the solidification of like coalitions is already starting here right now. So Ottomans right now. There's actually a good question in the chat, really. What idea groups should Ottomans go for? So basically, Ottomans have a couple of problems. Well, not so much problems, but they can be really, really strong. So let's go over their national ideas to begin with. They got tolerance, which allows for their religious unity to be a little bit lower. Ghazi, which is triple manpower in religious wars. Triple the manpower. In combination with, say, religious ideas, that is super powerful. A Tamriot system that's better cavalry. Cost of war exhaustion, anonymous pashas, which is really good. Suleiman's Code, national tax modifier. Tulip period, national trade income modifier plus 10. And then finally we got found the Imperial School of Naval Engineering, which lowers ship costs. So religious, naval, and any of the military ones is pretty good for Ottomans, especially if they want to control the Middle East, so to speak. We still have the Ottomans, we still have the Mamluks down here as a player-controlled nation. But Ottomans, there's so many ways you can play them, really. You can approach them as like a colonial empire. I've actually played Ottomans as a colonial empire because I could deal with it. But pretty much focusing on controlling maybe like Persia and Karako, that one. And maybe Nogai, and taking control here, maybe a little bit of Wallachia and Serbia. And then looking to westernize later on, perhaps, because well, at the start of the game, Ottomans are really not that, are pretty strong. They're very much the strongest nation in Europe at the start of the game. But later on, as the centuries progress, the tech modifier is going to hit them pretty hard, especially if they're not Western. It's a little bit of a discussion whether or not westernizing as Ottomans is really worth it, but I personally fall in the category of, you know, you probably should. It is worthwhile in order to westernize as Ottomans. I'm personally all for it. Why am I talking so much crap right now? Well, there's not much going on war-wise. Like I said before, Samara, Kazan being attacked by Muscovy, pretty much standard stuff here. Petfrog, Bavaria, taking over, this is Patalinate. It's basically all AI. Yeah, he just had Austria joining this war. So basically, Bavaria, Austria, Bohemia, and Brandenburg are starting to carve up the HRE. Burgundy had Flanders released in that war. It doesn't appear, yeah, just it looks like Flanders is a thing now. I'd like to point out that Belgium in this game is not a thing. But, yeah. And Burgundy is dealing with some serious problems here. He's got some war exhaustion, but wow, that is a pretty high... yeah, he's got some serious rebel issues right there. He's got some Flemish patriots. Maybe if he wants to have, like, Hainaut join in. But in all honesty, with 22,000 troops, he should not have to worry all that much. Still can go for ideas, and it's still pretty much open for discussion on what he wants. He's got 544. Let's take a look here at the coalition, at the diplomatic map mode. Burgundy has got no allies. He's got one ally, which is a AI player. England, in the meantime, no allies. Burgundy and England may be advised to start working together. Castile, in the meantime, Portugal and France. Such a strong coalition of allies right here. There's just nothing that can pretty much destroy this. Austria, the coalition of the willing, pretty much. They've got, they're granting, let's see, Austria, Bavaria, allied with Austria. We got Bohemia, who's allied with Austria, Brandenburg. Yeah, there's so many alliances going on with Austria. That's actually a good question. Who is the emperor? It is Austria. Who else would it be? Which allows them to get to have all of these ridiculous. Yeah, he gets 9 out of 6. So he's overstretched his Diplo power significantly. He only gets -7. Well, as he says, only -7. Let's take a look here. Where's all of that going? So he's got 5. So he says he's got 5 royal marriages. Could potentially add 1 more. He's got a couple of causes belli. He's got 4. We got 6 alliances going on. Is he guaranteeing anybody? No, he's got Baden and Switzerland as vassals actually, which add 2 more points towards his thing. So basically, oh, this is not looking too good here for Bavaria. What's going on there, Bavaria? You don't look too good. Bavaria needs a little bit of help here from Austria in order to clean out this ever so slightly this minor problem here. Austria's actually sending in armies with no leaders, which is probably not the most helpful thing in the world. But, you know, when you have 30,000 troops, then pretty much you go, meh, you know, what are you going to do? Haters going to hate.
Strong Nordic alliance has prevailed, and we'll take some steps into England. And we rightfully renamed York to Jorvik again.